Man, they working that slow mo this year.
Well, hello, everybody. Yes, I just had to put those faces on screen for just a split second because that is how I felt watching this entire episode. Welcome back to the Survivor Now podcast. I had to do an unorthodox intro because this was such an unorthodox episode with an unorthodox tribal. And today I am joined by the guest who always joins me from season 41, Eric Abraham. Drop the 4, keep the 1. Or, well, no, it's drop the 1, keep the whatever it is. Yeah. And our special guest from season 44, Josh Wilder, is here. Josh, how are you doing, my friend?
Doing well, Randy. Thank you so much for having me. Abraham, always a pleasure to see you.
Always,
Thanks, guys.
Wow, we said it before going live here, but now we can actually deep dive into things. Josh, you picked the right episode, my friend, because so I've been doing this new thing. I haven't been taking notes because there was a point earlier on in the season, those first 4 episodes where Survivor was kind of dragging on a little bit, where I was super critical. And I had this moment where I'm like, you know what? Let me sit back, not make this like a job thing. Let me just watch the episode how I used to watch it and enjoy it. And man, it has taken off. So I've kind of stayed doing that. And this episode, so everything that we got to talk about, I have in my brain. So help me out in the live chat. If you guys are watching live at home, you can join our Ancient Voices chat. And then I've got Abraham and Josh to kind of reel me in, make sure we hit all these topics here. But we have to, the thing about this episode was at first I was like, okay, first thing we're going to talk about, because we usually like to start with the biggest thing of the episode, talk about that. So I was like, okay, first thing we got to talk about is hide and seek. So I'm like, okay, then we have to talk about the rice negotiation. Okay, then we have to talk about this. And then the tribal council just negated everything and made it to where we have to spend a little bit on this tribal council. So Josh, as our guest, you're going to get first crack to try to decipher this for us or let us know what you thought, because I'm still lost.
Yeah, this tribal council was chaos. And I think that's exactly what Q wanted. He wanted chaos. Now, this could have turned really bad for Q because, we've kind of seen it before with Sean when he kind of starts down a road and then you can't pick it back up and it's just, you're the easiest one to vote out. But I think he's confident enough in where he's at and his coaching ability and how he speaks that he knows he has people on his sides. He's running the tribe. You can see it. And I think people can see it as well, but they're so afraid to mess with the dynamic that if Q says someone's going, they're going. And I think they're starting to realize that, but it's definitely flaring a couple people's radar, especially Charlie. Charlie has been catching Q's tea from the beginning. But I think Q just wanted to kind of stir up drama because he didn't want certain people to go home. So he was like, okay, well, let me start this up. Maybe we can have a live tribal. Maybe that's what he wanted. And it turned out.
Look, I'm voting Q out next because he don't know how to act right. Q, you just burned so many bridges on that particular tribal. But what I will give Q the credit until we get back to that is I will never look at hide and go seek again. I will never look at it in the depth that Q brought the game to the show of Survivor and how he broke down how hide and go seek is basically the new therapy to tell me exactly who you are. And I was like, now here's the crazy part. Hunter was exactly what he thought he was. And Q was right. They should have got that rice. They didn't have a chance against him.
There was a lot of moments this episode that, it was really, I wrote down in my mental notes, this is the Q and Liz episode because we were getting so much. But you brought up an interesting point here, Josh, about, Q didn't want this person to go home. And this kind of stirs up all the drama. There's a lot of people on social media that I saw who are still super confused. did Q want to actually go home? Was this all a game plan? And that's the thing. We saw there were so many pivotal moments in this live tribal. I think from what I remember, this was one of the most eventful live tribals, like actually eventful. No one knew what the plan was. Everyone was scrambling. And there was a moment when he pulls Tiff aside and he goes, Tiff, the votes were on you. I don't care what you guys say. You did not have the numbers to get Tevin out. The votes were going on Tiff. And then Tiff talks to Charlie. Charlie says, I know you have the idol. Don't play it tonight. And I laughed so hard when Tiff immediately, Kenzie.
Come on. Step on back here and talk to you.
Didn't try hiding it at all.
All she said was spicy.
She immediately, if I was Charlie, I was like, all right, she didn't even finish the conversation. She's like, Kenzie. So I thought for a second this was going to end up on Q. And then there was a second that it looked like Venus was just going to, well, why don't we just vote off the person annoying everyone? I'm like, is that not Q? So like, Josh, did you think the vote was going to end up going on Tevin? Because that everyone except Hunter and Tevin voted for Tevin. So that was it was kind of a straightforward conclusion.
Yeah. I mean, leading up to it, it looked like it was going to be between Tevin or Tiffany. And obviously he didn't want Tiffany to go home. So he just like, you know what, let's just talk about this. But inevitably, Q definitely, I think he solidified his grave with everything that happened. For sure. And I think it's smart for Tiff not to make a big deal about Q and him going home because he was already doing it on his own. Because if she would have made it more vocal, it would have been more on her because now other people know about her idol and she's kind of making a big target on her. So I think she did fine by just sitting quiet and just taking mental note. Gotcha. I see who you are. Now she knows.
I thought it was odd, man, that Liz wanted to jump in the mix all of a sudden in the sense that I'm the one driving the vote out for Soda. And I was like, and then Venus was like, I'm the one driving the vote out for Soda. And Tevin was like, well, I'm really the one that's masterminding this vote out for Soda. And I'm thinking to myself, wait a minute, where all three of y'all get the same mastermind from? So it was interesting to see how we didn't have an edit of Liz until tonight. This is the first time we even heard Liz talk more than 5 words. So it's interesting how she's been placed into the mix of, I'm the one that's instigating everything. I want to be known for instigating everything. And then she was like, basically, I'm an alpha. I don't want to sit back and let y'all take credit for it. Tevin got to go. And I was like, okay. So it's nothing a straight line in this episode that says Q might be either the mastermind of the game of Survivor or the most blundering player we've seen since, what's that guy name? What's his name?
You've got a lot of blundering players on Survivor to choose from, Abraham.
From this season?
Yeah.
Banu?
Who's Banu? Banu. That's what it was.
I was about to say, like, he was the one that was calling Banu out the most, but I'm like, Q, you're following to Banu's steps now. Come on.
Now, if he didn't tell Tiff, first of all, once he said he told somebody about the idol, it was just a matter of time before he got out. It was just a matter of time. So I wouldn't even be worried about that part. But you told her you were going to vote for her. And I was like, you didn't have to do that. It wasn't that time yet. I think people play too early thinking you got to get out a big threat. Well, if you get a big threat out, guess who's left? You. So you got 9 players left and you one of the biggest threats. And then nobody has said Hunter name at all. Not at all. They ain't mentioning Hunter except for Venus.
You know what's funny about this whole situation? I'm going to reel you back in, Abraham. Go back to this tribal council and kind of like what's happening with these players. But the super interesting thing here is we talk about who might, we can talk about who's going to come out of this in a greater light. You know who's really a tight pair now? Kenzie and Tiffany. This is a pair that we started seeing happen last week when they were like, yo, Q's getting a little wild. We see Q every week pitch, I don't know what game they're playing. They need to be playing the Q game, which I've never heard that in Survivor from anyone other than Boston Rob when he's like, you got to play my game. But if I'm going to the Q school of how to play Survivor, I'm ready for a chaotic mess because that's kind of what it's ended up being. But if anything, this has solidified the duo between Kenzie and Tiffany because I think moving forward, I would just be shocked. Abraham, you said they should vote him out. They should vote Q out next. Josh, you said the same thing, or you were at least shaking your head. I would be shocked if Tiffany doesn't take this moment, especially after learning that her idol was kind of ratted out by Q, and say, okay, Kenzie, you're my ride and die girl. Let's go to the end together.
Yeah, but you know what? Here's the problem. Q is honest. And he was. Here's the thing about it is, I think this where Q kind of insulated himself from being voted out next. He was willing to throw himself on his own sword. He came out the gate, said, nobody knows what I'm doing. I would rather go versus somebody else getting voted out that shouldn't get voted out because they didn't play the game. That is the only way I see where Q doesn't get voted out next. Because really, Tiffany, all you can really say is he targeted you in the game of Survivor. Yeah, you upset about it, but he was honest. He didn't try to tell. He was like, look, I made a mistake. Yeah, you made a mistake telling Hunter because Hunter was gone. Pew! So that may solidify where, hey, look, why? And he tells her why. He said, well, because you should just tell her, hey, you target Maria. And once you target somebody in the 6, we got to let you go. So I respect game, but he's definitely on my voting list high. He's still on top of the voting list.
Though, to look at that whole tribal council, you don't want to go in tribal council. You want to go in with a plan. And if you show up there and all this is going on, that scares me. Even if I'm not on the block, I'm like, what are they talking about? Oh my God, what are they talking about? We're voting in 5 seconds. Jeff can say, okay, we're done. So I think from a different player's standpoint, he's a liability. Like he's going back and forth, and he's kind of done that all throughout.
Yeah, you don't know what you're gonna do.
True. That's true. Like he just keeps changing votes. So I mean, I don't know. I see both sides of it, but yeah, he would be on my list to go next.
I would almost trust Venus more than I would trust Q at this moment. Like Venus hasn't done anything this crazy.
Venus is digging her own grave by how her actions are. Venus, you could have an opportunity to go from being a third sitting on the end of the bench to at least a second or first, but the way you want to play the game is just going to make other people just say, look, we need to get you annoying. Like we saw where she comes up to the people, they strategize. They're about to get in. And you can, she's right. You can roll over there, but understand you're going to get whatever you get when you get there. So if you're the person that breaks up the thought of, hey, we're going to vote out this person, and Venus comes in the conversation and says a couple things, but she did, you know what, let's just vote Venus out because that's a throwaway vote anyway. And as long as they look at you as a throwaway vote, you can get kicked out at any time. And I think Venus has put herself in that situation right now.
Yes, and it's one of those things where it's a double-edged sword in this regard because she is annoying, but she'll keep getting by because people are going to be like, oh, okay, yeah, she's annoying, but we can get her out next time. We can get her out next time. And then next time doesn't come, and here we are sitting final 3.
That's what Tiffany said.
Is Venus getting set up to be not to jump too far ahead here, but a 0 vote finalist, Josh? Like it almost has that feeling.
If we was voting tomorrow, yes.
Yes.
Day 15.
Be annoying enough.
Yes. You definitely on the 0 list.
The last big thing that I have to ask you, gentlemen, about this like tribal council, and I'm sure we'll keep alluding to it throughout the entire episode because I told Abraham this earlier on our pre-show. We go live right before Survivor to kind of build up the anticipation of what might happen. And I told him, I've been dealing with one of these sinus headaches all day where it makes it hard to think. I don't know if you gentlemen have had this before, where it just makes it hard to think and concentrate. And during this tribal council, I was literally, my hand was on my head. And I was like, oh, this is giving me a giant headache. Like, what? I kept reacting like that. Like, what is going on? I can't comprehend this. And for a second, I was scared. I was like, oh, no, are we getting another player that's going to leave the game? Like, he's in a great position. He's got several alliance choices. And I wanted to get your guys' perception. You guys have actually been out. You've played the game Survivor. If you're sitting at this tribal council, say you're at that tribal council hypothetically, and you hear Q say this, look, I said something that really messed up the plan. And I know a lot of you guys watching at home might be confused what he's alluding to. I took it as he's alluding to the moment he told Hunter about the plan to vote out Tevin. He felt really guilty about that because Hunter immediately starts talking to other people. So if you're sitting at that tribal council, you're listening to everything we heard Q say tonight. What side are you on? Because we heard several people say, Tevin in particular, if this man wants to go home, I'm not going to try to rise you up and hold you in this game. I'm not going to fight you. I'm not here to babysit you. If you want to go home, I'll vote you out. So I'll go to Abraham first and then Josh here. What side are you on? Are you voting Q out? Look, the man wants to go home. I'll vote him out. Or are you sticking to your game plan?
I'm going to stick to the same game plan I used when I was on Survivor. I'm voting somebody else. I'm not putting my name down. I'm not even going that direction. I'm going to tune out Q altogether. And I'm going to say, okay, as long as nobody that I'm talking to is saying my name, I'm going to keep with the plan. If the plan don't work out, guess what? I didn't create the plan. I was just going along with the plan. But the plan can't be my name. So at the end of the day, first of all, you come first. If you don't survive the vote, guess what? You on the jury now. So at the end of the day, I'm gonna keep playing. See what it is. Nobody told Tevin that he was the plan. That's how come he got voted out. Nobody went to him, and Q was like, last minute is just gonna make chaos, and there's no reason to say one person to mess up my game.
That's true. I'm with you, Abraham, to be honest. Like, if I went into that and all that went down, of course, I'm afraid it's me just immediately thinking that. So I'm just kind of reading the room. I wouldn't actively say, like Tevin did, like vote him out, let him go. But I would just kind of, if he was in my alliance, I would say, what are you doing? What's happening, man? Because if he goes home, then you're right, Abraham, I'm next. So honestly, I'm just like, oh, do I want him to stay? Do I want him to go? So it'll be a big conflict for me. But in that moment in time, I'm playing Sandra as long as it's not me.
Look, hey, Q ain't good at no challenges right now. I mean, no challenges, because he was like, look, I knew I wasn't gonna be able to hold on that pole. But skip back around to Kenzie was like, if you go, you mess us up 3 or 4 times down the road, what might he already worked on? So everybody's aware of, we're not gonna vote Q. I don't think anybody thought he was serious about being voted out. You can say a lot of stuff when it's not you. And he was never the target and never has been for these. Even when we started voting, he hasn't been the target. So it's going to be interesting to see. And it's a good build up to see what happens next week.
I want to let everyone know right now, thank you so much for hopping in the live chat. This is the most pop in the live chat has ever been in terms of an event. There's so many people have stuff to add on. I'm going to get to some of the comments here. Forgive me if I don't get to yours because we'd be here all night. But let me see some of these comments here. Georgette adds in, hi guys, shocked who went home. Jonathan adds in, I think Hugh said, vote me out as a plan. Jay adds, yeah, he wanted to cause chaos, but at what cost? His Yanu allies don't trust him anymore, and now he's probably going to get targeted next week. I think that's what we're looking at. Let's see. Oh, always mess up your name. Floria, the lack of goats this season makes it the best season in a long, long time. Everyone is playing hard. Liz pulled this out by not budging. Yeah, we got so many and then someone else, I did miss this comment, but someone said if Q wins this season, she's going to eat her. It was Kimberly. She's going to eat her shirt if Q wins this season. So,
what kind of shirt she got? I hope it's edible. Because
is she going to buy a Q shirt after that? A Q skirt?
No, the Q skirt. Yes. I'm going to give you a Q skirt. I'm going to give you a Q skirt. I was like,
Josh, I was so excited to talk to you in particular about this. Nothing else matters this episode. Thank you guys for tuning in. We're going to but we have to talk about it's a great segue. Josh was born to be a Survivor podcaster. I'm telling you. So let's talk about this Q skirt really quick before we get on to some other topics. What are we buying the Q skirt? Like, do we think it's fashionable?
Well,
no.
His sale pitch was so. I was like, that's just a hoodie tied around your waist. I'm like,
so mid.
What are we talking about? What are we talking about here?
Like,
I think once you get on the island long enough and you get a little bit of lack of food and sleep, you just really start entertaining your own self. And it just, no matter how crazy it sounds, it's just good TV. Because I'm like, man, all you did was have a hoodie you just turned the hoodie backwards. They already do that. I mean, what are you doing different? So,
I'm not gonna lie, gentlemen.
I'm not for 16 days. It'll do something to you.
I'm not gonna lie. I think I would wear it. I think I would. Like, I'm someone in
fashion game is stronger than that. No, that's not gonna happen.
No, I was gonna say, like, in the modeling world, if this thing came out and it started to catch a little heat, I could definitely see myself wearing that. I already go to the bar and I usually wear a sweatshirt because I'm dumb, and then like I'm in the middle of the dance floor and I'm like, oh my gosh, I am so hot. So I already take the sweatshirt off and then tie it around my waist like moms do, and like kind of have it like that. So all I have to do, and I mean, you have me mistaken if you don't think the next time I do that, I'm going to turn it around and walk around the bar and be like, look, I got a Q skirt, everybody. And they're going to be like, what are you talking about? Josh, you wouldn't wear this. Come on. If they actually marketed this.
You know what? He does have his own t-shirt. Hold on. If I'm not mistaken, he took a picture, man. I think he had his own shirt with Q on it, but I'm not wearing that nowhere.
I would. It needs modifications. That's rough draft. That's a new sketching phase. All right.
That's a new outfit. Oh yeah. He got his own look. he got his own hat and his own stuff. So Q be on top of it. So
It's gonna be out there. I know it.
I'm telling you right now, you give CBS 2 months and they will have it on their CBS store, and it will be a Q skirt. If they're smart, let's see. We got people. Jay adds, that's why Q is an A+ Survivor casting choice. I will buy a Q skirt. Yes, I think we definitely should. And Jay loops back around. You reacted like Hunter Randy. He had his head in his hands the whole tribal. I really did. I was, oh my, like the entire
the most
time.
animated we've seen Hunter in the whole episode.
Yeah,
he usually hasn't said anything, but he's. I mean, he got a good edit when Venus said, "I've never seen that guy run anywhere." He was gone. So
he should be nervous.
That kind of painted a little target, and he's good at challenges. I mean, Hunter. I don't know why Jeff likes that poll thing so much. I'm like,
well, we're gonna get to the poll here in a little bit, Abraham, talking about the challenge. But the last thing that I almost forgot to talk about with this insane tribal is, like I said, there's really a lot to cover from this past episode. It was a wild one. But let's talk about idols, because there was a few idol situations here that were actually really interesting in the sense of Tiffany was told by her main ally, your name's coming up. You were the target. You do not have the votes to turn this on Tevin, to where Tiffany is going to people and saying, like, just give it to me straight. Was I the plan? And even Charlie said, yes, you are the plan, or were the plan. The fact that she did not play her idol after all that is shocking, because I just put myself in those shoes. I would already have an idol burning a hole in my pocket. I'd be nervous every tribal council. If I hear my name's coming up, I'm playing that thing. No questions asked. So props to Tiffany to hold on to that. And then it was interesting, and I'll let you guys add on to either of these points here. It was interesting to me that Hunter didn't use his idol for his main ally that we've seen him work with the entire game. Hunter seems very content to keep that idol that nobody knows about to himself. When he knows the vote's going on Tevin, you could easily play your idol for Tevin, keep him in the game, and then send whoever you want packing. That was shocking to me as well. So, Josh, I don't know if you caught on to any of this, if any of it stuck out to you. What do you think about idol, like holding on to your idol at this point for both Hunter and Tiffany?
I forgot that Hunter had another idol, actually. That's a good point. But I think, honestly, it's probably too early for him to show his hands like that, because there's 10 people left. Way too early. You know what I mean? Like, he's got to think that he's next on the block, especially if Q is thinking down the road. If I was Q, I would try to get Hunter out like they showed
immediately. Yeah.
So I think for him, I don't think he wanted to do that right now. He's just like, let me just lay low and kind of let them handle it and then create their own targets and not me get in the mix.
After the hide and go seek analogy, I can only surmise that Hunter is playing a strategic game of Survivor. Look, Hunter's having a good time. Hunter's out there. He's having a good time. He's playing, but I'm with you, Josh. If he and I think Q was absolutely right. Why sacrifice for one person so early on? So if I'm Hunter and I'm not on the chopping block, I'm not saying anything. If anything, I'm going to use that to blindside Q or Tiffany somewhere down the road. Because at the end of the day, everybody thinks you got a shot in the dark. So you got the shot in the dark and everybody thinks you're going to play it. So here for all future players, stop telling everybody you got an idol. Yeah. Tiff wouldn't have been actually on the chopping block of knowing she had an idol until somebody said she told everybody she had an idol. Don't tell anybody. Hunter's in the best position right now. Question is, do a Venus or does a Q turn on him and say he's a target and he gets wind of it? Then he can blind somebody. Now he had something to say at tribal council. I could see Hunter sitting there saying his speech, hey, I had an idol. Nobody knows it. They were like, he had an idol? Yeah. I played it. I blindsided somebody. I got him out. And that's how I got to the spot that I'm sitting in right now. I could see that happening for Hunter. So, kudos to Hunter for not telling anybody and, kind of playing his game and not really doing a lot. Because Maria won the last tribal. Maria and Kenzie won. He won this tribal. So right now, we don't see nobody.
You're talking the challenge, the immunity.
The challenges. Yeah. We don't see anybody dominating. This third one now, if Hunter wins the next one, now I'm kind of looking at him like, wait a minute, he might be able to beat me.
I saw someone tweet out that if anyone, even if it was their closest ally, pulled that move that Hunter did, where he's just hanging on the pole upside down, like using. And they said whoever tweeted that said that would be my I would immediately be like, that person's going home next, whether I'm their closest ally or not, because like, I'm just shocked that no one is talking about Hunter as a challenge threat.
But you know why? You know why?
Why? Why are they not?
Q throwed a sit off the trail because he came back with the temper tantrum. Q came back and said, "Why did y'all not see him climb the tree?" Q was like, "Did y'all not watch him go hide in the tree?" Q is got to be the most observant player of this season of Survivor. He was like, "Man, we ain't gonna win against him. So 3 of y'all should have dropped out. We could have had some rice right now, but no, y'all did what y'all want to play."
I was thinking the same thing. We're talking about the immunity challenge, which is a classic one that we get. It's I believe it's called Get a Grip. I think is the
shit would be called
official name. And like Josh Abraham has a point here. Like I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, are we not looking at Hunter and being like, I know I'm saying from me, I would not beat Hunter at that. There's no chance. So I'll step out for Rice.
Absolutely. After they found him up in that tree after hide and seek, I'm like, what? He's gonna win this, obviously. Like he's up there doing whatever. And I love Q's analogy with hide and seek and being able to hide in plain sight. Pretty nice, pretty cool. Love it. And it's a great segue into that challenge. But yeah, I'm looking at him doing. I mean, how long were they up there?
Oh man, I think it was 30 something minutes. Yeah.
Okay, and then he can go on and just hang out like that. Like, dude's a beast. Good job.
Hey, Josh, look at this. Would you climb a tree on Survivor?
Would I climb a tree?
Yeah.
I would try to, but not on day 16.
No, I ain't seen none of them that was available to me. I looked at them. Let me tell you what. Xander chopped off a breadfruit, and I'm standing at the bottom of the tree, and I put my hand out to grab the breadfruit. For all you people that don't know what a breadfruit is, there's a weight to a breadfruit. It is not a light fruit. It's a heavy fruit. Well, I ain't figured that out until it hit my hand. And I was like, what? I said, this dude trying to break my hand. That thing was heavy as all get out. So no, I'm not climbing no trees, none of that, because they was all dangerous.
Well, I love that connection too, because I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, this is literally a challenge all about holding on to something. And I don't know how long the hide and seek game went on for, but this man was up there hanging on. Come on, guys. Like, I would almost be like, Jeff, if we all sit out and just give it to Hunter, can we have 2 bags of rice here? And the rice negotiation was a whole another thing that we have to talk about. We've seen this in the new era so far. It's become a common thing. This was the first time in the new era that they could not negotiate. So we had Liz step forward, which I feel so bad for Liz. She's just like, I can't eat anyways. So like, I really need the rice. We saw Q step out.
Hold up. Josh, hold up. Do you feel bad for Liz?
Not really. I'm sorry, Liz. I love you.
Josh,
but girl,
you know what the game was. Stop playing.
Yeah, right.
Liz is allergic to people who are allergic, or no, Liz is allergic to people who don't feel sorry for her, probably with how much stuff she's allergic to.
She went down the list. She said, I can't eat coconut, I can't eat fish, I can't eat half of the rewards. I was like, so basically, you just drinking water. You be all right.
Period. She's not doing anything, not going to the bathroom or anything. But
she said 15 days. You ain't got nothing to do. So, you good. Go in the water, soak a little while. You be all right.
Yeah. So the first time no one has sat out. So no one got rice, right?
Yeah, no one got rice.
I think, wait a minute, that might be in all of Survivor that they didn't negotiate the rice. Jeff, I call it Messy Jeff. Messy Jeff, man, be doing stuff too. I like it. I like the fact that they getting the rice. I like the fact that they starving. You playing Survivor. You only have what? We got 15 more days.
Yeah.
You got 9 more days to go. Oh yeah, 9 more days is over. That's 26. Oh man, that's some bad math.
No, they're on day
11. Yeah, they on day 16. Yeah, 9 more days.
10. Well, I mean, yeah, if you count the night, then 9 more days. Yeah. If we're going on day 17. But yeah, something about Messy Jeff, as you like to call him, Abraham, is he doesn't really negotiate anymore. Because I actually like the fact this is something that happened last year. Like, I'm pretty sure last season he was like, look, 4's the number. And they were just like, okay, we got to get 4. And I was questioning, like, why aren't we trying to negotiate with the man? Like, try to get him down. Like, can we do 3? And they tried that this year. And I immediately clapped. I was like, yes. And no, 4 is the number. And then they continue to plead. And what was interesting is he's like, okay, you want to negotiate? All right. 2 of you give up your votes tonight and you can still compete in the challenge and I'll give you the rice. And I love the reaction of everyone being like, well, no, Liz said it best. Hell no. Hell no.
Oh, no.
You had to be feeling real good about this whole episode to say, yeah, that rice, look, man, look, if you already starving, rice ain't gonna do nothing for you. You be all right.
But again, if I'm someone like Hunter, and I know Hunter was confident about that, I was kind of wanting him to be like, yeah, I'll give up my vote.
I hate to say this.
And because you can still compete.
No, I hate to say this. Where's that fishing gear at?
Where did that come from, Abraham?
They got fishing gear. A tribe won fishing gear, so they have fishing gear.
Oh, you're just saying they should have food. I get where you're going now. I was like, what does that have to do with the challenge?
Every time I went out in that water, I was like, no, I'm good. Ain't no fish out here. I'm not going out here.
No, man, getting fish, it was so energy. It spent so much energy just getting out there and then doing it. So, I mean, yeah, fishing was cool, but
look.
Were you the fisher, Josh? Did you go out and did you fish like for either of your tribes?
Danny did. I was too tired and weak to do it because I wasn't getting any food.
The only successful fisherman I've seen in all 6 seasons was Jonathan. That was it. Because here's the thing about it is, people think the water don't move or something, or like we sitting in a lake or something. You fighting the current of the water that's going back and forth on the shore, and then you going into the deep end of the water. No, I'm not trying to figure out, see if they can drown me or not. So I went out to the shallow part, and I thought it was just a pain because that water was kicking my ass. No, I'm not going out there. No,
yeah, I can tell you right now, I would not be.
And I can swim too. I'm not going out there.
I'm interested to see how this changes the whole dynamic without food, because usually with that rice, it brings people together. You get that energy boost, and then the game starts again. It's like it starts over because you have all this energy. So now they don't have that. I wonder how everything's going to play out, because then you get hangry. The hangriness is coming.
They're probably already hangry. Have you seen this cast so far? Someone put in the comments earlier that this cast is kind of giving bitter jury vibes. And I was like, yeah, I know that Ponderosa is going mad right now. I'm just going to throw it out there. Could you imagine if Tevin didn't go home and the plan got switched to Venus and we had a Ponderosa of Venus and soda?
Well, here's the thing: Ponderosa is a little different for the first group. You know, you kind of say okay, and you kind of have a different. I know for us, I can't speak for everybody else's tribe, but your relationship in Ponderosa is different. The first group versus the second group. The first group tends to get along with each other. The second group tends to be the most chaotic group because they done did more cutthroat things and all kind of craziness and stuff. But you still got people that are tied to the first and second group. So it's kind of like, I know our first group, we all had a strong bond with each other, which was cool. But that second group, that's the right reason y'all ain't had no Ponderosa videos.
Period. Yeah, the second group you're still playing. I mean, jury management is still, you're still in the game. You're basically still deciding who's going to win. So you're still technically playing. And in the first group, you're out. You're just like, let's just have fun. Like, let's get to know each other. You know what I mean?
I was hiking. I was getting massages and stuff.
Yeah, he was. Mad. Abraham, you had vacation time out there. We got a few comments here. Nikki adds in, how did Liz even make it on the show with so many allergies? I think you just answered your own question. That's probably what got her on the show. And then Jay adds in, maybe he may bring back the negotiation for next week's episode. So what do we think? I mean, do we think he brings it back? Also, before you answer that, Jeff, where's your knife that you always carry in your pocket? Where's your knife?
I wanted that so bad. I was like, ooh, what's he going to do this time? Maybe an axe? He should really get really clever with that. That's awesome.
Someone, and this is so outlandish, they would never allow this on TV, especially with where the world's at nowadays. And it's so sad. Someone said that he should have pulled out a gun and just started shooting them back. And I was like, oh my gosh.
That's when you take Survivor to a whole different level. They ain't got nothing to do with it.
Yeah, they probably the negotiations would have went much faster then. But yeah, I was begging for this knife. I was like, where is this knife out here? And are we shocked that more people didn't step forward? I know we already talked about how, like, if you're looking at Hunter, you should have. I was kind of shocked because we had 2. You just needed 2 more. I was thinking Hunter's super competitive, but I still think I'm like, if I'm Hunter, yeah, maybe I step out. Maybe he sees himself as a challenge threat, though. I was looking at maybe him. I thought maybe Charlie would have stepped out for this. Charlie's
was looking for somebody. He was looking for somebody to join him.
And he's the second to the last to drop out. Here's my 2 cents. You watch the game of Survivor and then you apply for it. and then you get that call that says, hey, we want to take you through the process of possibly being on Survivor. Then you go back. I don't know if you did this, Josh, but I went back and started looking at all Survivors, all season. Every night I would have a different season up, and I'll be looking at it. I look at the challenges. There's a part of you that wants to face the challenge that has nothing to do with anybody else on the tribe, has nothing to do with Rice or anything else. It's like, I might not ever get to do this again. I want to test that pole out and see what it feels like.
Classic Survivor classic.
Yeah, I want that memory of being on that pole, because you may never come back. It ain't like back in the days where, people came back like a Sandra or Boston Rob or whatever, Ian or Winners at War and all that. They got to come back and try it again. We may never go back. So I'm like, some Rice for 26 days? Man, keep that Rice. I'm going to take my chance on that pole. I just want to see what it feels like.
Yeah, of course, you've been watching this. It's nostalgia. You want to be up there. Even if it's not the best for your game, you want to play. Like, that's how I was. I always wanted to play no matter what.
Plus, I mean, if you end up going home that night, that's going to live rent free in your head forever. And I hate when they're like, every year they go, yo, can we make a pact that whoever steps up will not go home? Yeah, ask Kane how that feels, because he stepped out, went home. How many times have we seen people? That pact does not mean anything. Who was it? Was it Danny from your season, Josh, who said, I'm not a Boy Scout?
Yeah. Yeah, he did.
Yeah,
and you can't be in Survivor. I mean, that's the game, unfortunately.
If you got the right number on your tribe and it works out, you could do it if you were in the Kane just wasn't in the right position to do it, and he got. But he said something smart on the way out the door, which
I'm
was funny.
I'm just never listening to anyone if they pull this. Oh, if you step out, we promise we won't vote for you. Yeah, okay. In a game all about lying and decide. No, we're gonna take a super quick break. It's about a minute long, so a quick ad break. When we come back, we're gonna talk a little bit more in depth about that amazing hide and seek scene, and then we're going to get Josh's opinions on some of the castaways and maybe how they're doing in this season and going forward. So we will be right back.
Hi, Survivor Now podcast listeners. I am Katie from KT Designs, better known as Katie Tedesco Art on both Instagram and Etsy. I have been designing and selling Survivor products for over 7 years at my Etsy shop, including replicas like hidden immunity idols and Survivor trading cards with all of the players' stats on the back. I am so grateful for Survivor Now for giving me this shout out and helping me reach even more super fans. I love listening to their podcast. So if you are looking for some really unique reality TV products for yourself or to give a super fan in your life, come check out my Etsy shop at www.etsy.com/shop/KatieTedescoArt.com.
Katie Tedesco.
Let's see, Josh. I don't see Katie Tedesco stuff, but I do see a puzzle back there. I see a puzzle and a bird cage. That has to be on purpose.
So you know it. Afterwards, the birdcage lives rent free in my mind because it's just always there, always. And of course, the challenge that I did, the snake puzzle. Woof.
Look,
if you go back out there and do the snake puzzle again, do you feel like at this point you're a pro at that puzzle?
I want to say I am, but probably not. And what they didn't show is there's 3. We had to do 3 balls, not just one, and then balance on a beam too. So, and it was in the middle of the day. It was so hot.
Well, I was going to say, you guys always make that look easy. And when I'm watching you do that challenge, I'm always like, oh my gosh, this doesn't look hard at all. But I imagine I'd get out there and I wouldn't even be able to get the ball up like the first little run.
I can't speak for Josh, but I can tell you what, it was one that's hot in the jungle. When everybody go out there, they have you, that jungle is hot as all get out. And you're just standing there waiting until they say, we start. When they say start, you forget about everything. And for me, I was like, I'm about to have some fun. And I jumped over there. I was rolling down that net, man, and I was through that sand stuff. But when I touched them sandbags, I was like, is this wet sand? And we went on TV. I'd have dropped that thing, kept it going. I loved it. I loved it, but
what you see.
I never want to touch another sled again, man. That sled had to be 300 pounds, man. And I said, it was like 1, 2, 3, push. I was like, push what? I'm giving everything you got. What they don't show is when I get to the top, I just fall out. I don't even know how I got voted out. I was late. I did my muscle work, and I was late.
Oh, here we go. He's reliving that.
All right. Hey, look, Josh. we relive Survivor every time we all get together. So it's not like
Always.
it's like I'll be on Xander. I'll be like, oh, so you just want to vote me out because you wanted to be the strong guy. I said, man, what kind of move was that?
This man is still devastated to this day.
Always, especially with some alcohol, and you get around your people, you're just like, listen, what happened? What happened?
Oh, like,
you gotta.
This is what's amazing about the Survivor community. Abraham, you got something before we wrote this back?
Hold up. It was one day. It was we were down in Florida doing the charity event. It was me, Nasir, Tiffany in a car, and who else is in that car? And she filmed. First of all, Nasir is the worst directional driver ever. Don't ever let that dude give you no directions. And he'd been in Orlando before. That's what was killing me. Oh, and Deshaun. They taped it, man. I gotta get the footage of the tape. Man, I was on that dude. I said, come on, dude. You got the phone in your hand. It's dark. Just tell me which direction. Oh, man. And that's it's a family. So when you get together with a few of them, it's always fun, man. And we have a good time. But that was one they taped, and it was worthy of review because I went in on the series. And the next year he was lost again. I was like, man, I'm not messing with you.
The lost footage that we need to get a hold of right here. Yeah. But before we talk about Abraham's always like, oh yeah, we're talking about an episode here. It's the behind the scenes content you get. But before we talk about the hide and seek that I'm sure everyone wants us to touch a little bit more base on, I want to talk about one person in particular, Charlie. And I think Charlie has been someone, we've mentioned his name a couple times. He's been a very sneaky good player, and he had an iconic line this episode that I wanted to make sure we put the spotlight on. And that's when he learns about this 6 alliance, which has been probably one of the worst 6-person alliances ever. I don't even think they might have made it 1 week. Maybe I'm being a little kind to them.
One episode.
But they want to replace Tim with Charlie, which they should have done at the very beginning when this was made, because it was who was your number one ally. And at the time it was Tim and Maria. We all knew they weren't number ones, but it was Tev and Hunter. And then you had Q and Tiffany, and then Tim and Maria. Tim gets voted out. They want to bring Charlie in. On paper, I'm like, this is perfect because that is Maria's actual number one ally. Maria, we've heard her say it. She is interested in the 6. Charlie said at this episode how she's really interested because she's looking at this as a clear path to the final 6. But Charlie, being the Survivor fan he is, we've seen these 6-person alliances before. They don't work out. Something always goes awry. And he says, I need to decide if I'm what goes awry. And it's just such, I don't know, maybe I'm putting too much emphasis on it, but to me, this is such a good line. Like, I immediately started snapping. Josh, I got to get your opinion on Charlie this season, what you're seeing. Is Charlie someone who could win this game? Because I think he's in a really good position.
I think he could. I mean, he is. I think he understands what's going on with the game, and he's thinking 2 steps ahead. He definitely sees that he's the last person to be invited into this 6. And I think he's putting things together. And so he realizes he's on the bottom of the pack. So because of that, he kind of has a lot of wiggle room. So he can start kind of building his blocks to see his way to the end and make his own path. But it's just how he's going to do that and how he's going to maneuver that. But I think he's doing a great job so far. I honestly do.
You know how you get that last invite to the party. You weren't on the original invite list, but you get that last invite. That's what Charlie.
Hey, a spot opened up, so we can let you in.
You was really number 15 out of 15. I just think Charlie jumping the gun too soon. I just think that you already had yourself in a position where Q comes to you and said, "Hey, look, Maria is going to come to you," which is going to be validation that we want to bring you into this alliance of 6. It's 10 of them remaining. Okay, when do I want to make my move? Probably around 8. Not around 10. And then he says, okay, well, this is a chance to make my move. Well, what happens if you make your move at 10? You still have 9 other players. So now you like, well, okay, where does Charlie fit in that? I think it was just bad timing for him to say, hey, now is my time to make a move when you just got invited into the 6. Now,
are you talking about when he told Tiff about the vote?
No, when he told that's the second part of that. The first part, when he told Maria comes to him and say, hey, they want to bring you into the 6. I'd have been like, okay, we at 10th. Okay, let me, I'm gonna ride this until we get to 8. His next mistake was he went to Tiffany and told her, hey, you got an idol, and Q said it. Q been steamrolling everybody. What makes you think he's not gonna steamroll you? So I'm like, why'd you do it at 10? 10 was to me was just too soon to make that kind of move. 8, okay, now we can kind of see us a path because now you still got Maria. I don't think Maria will think you a threat, so you good to go. You still got McKinney, you might have Kenzie or somebody, so you could get 3 or 4 votes and not looking for you. Venus still is a hot topic. Hunter's still a hot topic, and Q's still a hot topic. It was just more people in front of you than you had to worry about. But he was like, "Oh man, it's the time for me to make a move." Nah, I'm good. I'll sit here.
The only thing, devil's advocate, is maybe he's trying to rock the boat and make that 6 or 5 kind of crumbly.
Yeah.
But they was already crumbling. I mean, they was crumbling from the start. They never. I mean, we talking about.
Oh well, I got a comment right here from Jay. Well, that 6-person alliance is now over. Tiff doesn't trust Q anymore, and Hunter was puzzled and upset about Q wanting to quit. So it'll be interesting if we see them go back next week, which I don't think they're going to because of what we saw in like the next time on Survivor thing. But it'll be interesting to see if they go back and Q tries to pitch. Let's reel in the 6 again. I
wouldn't read none of them juggers. Look, it's gonna be some new alliances built off of this, which I think is gonna be good. I don't think Hunter and Q is gonna break up. I think Hunter and Q is definitely. I think Hunter.
I don't think there's any. Sorry to interrupt. I don't think there's any chance that Hunter works with Q again. I'm on the.
I mean, he didn't do anything to Q. If anything, Hunter is the one that ignited Q to do the nonsense he did. Because at the end of the day, Q was honest. Q said, "I would rather go home versus somebody else is going home." So really, it's only 2 people he pissed off, which would have been Tiffany and Mackenzie. The other people have no reason except for confusion. Well, why would Liz vote him out? And then if they was going to vote for him, they didn't vote for him this time. So why would you vote for him next time?
I got to get Josh's opinion in on this, Abraham. But from my point of view, did you not see the faces Hunter was making? Hunter said at least 3 or 4 times, "This is stupid," and he just looked furious and upset with like. I just don't see him going back and being like, "Oh, it's fine." He was really mad. I don't want to use the PISS word. Yeah, he was basically, that's what he was. Josh, which side are you on?
If I was Hunter, I mean, it's great that Q was honest with Hunter, which he didn't need to be. I wish he hadn't, honestly, if I was Q. Yeah. But the fact that he went and told him, if I was Hunter, I'd be like, okay, yeah, we're cool, but I would kind of start working my way on how to get Q out. I would stay cool with them and act like that we're cool. But honestly, I don't think I would work with Q.
If anybody, Hunter. Tiffany should have got him out because this ain't the first time Q talked about quitting.
Yes, exactly.
So it's not like it's a new statement because he told Tiffany, I'm about to go. And she was like, man, stop it. Let's keep moving. So I think it's part of his gameplay, which if the strategy works, great. We just don't know if it's not going to work, which I think is a great cliffhanger to next week because we want to see what's the retaliation on Q for what he did. Everybody wants to know now, man, what they're going to do to him.
I mean, the anticipation is definitely there. And we got Carlo in the chat. Hi, Josh. Love you. Yes. Who does not love Josh? Jay adds in, I agree, Randy. I think Hunter is done. And then Carlo adds in, well, if Hunter felt that way, he could have saved his buddy with an idol. Definitely had the power to do so, which is still shocking. All right, gentlemen, we still got about 12 or so minutes here left to recap this episode. We got to talk about a little bit more in depth. One of the most fun moments I think we've seen in Survivor history with this like hide and seek challenge that went down. This was just fun. And I was sitting there, and this is something that my best friends, my friend group, get on to me all the time. And they hate this about me. If I get, I do love hide and seek as long as I'm not the seeker. I hate being the seeker. I want to hide. I'm that person where if they're like, you have to find us, I'm like, I don't want to play anymore. But the thing is I'm that person that if we're sitting around doing something and I get bored, I do like stupid games all the time. I'm like, hey, what's your guys' favorite candy? Let's list the 5 best candies ever. And they're like, what they literally have, this is like a little look into my life, just really quick, Sandra. But they have this like jingle where anytime I recommend we do something, they go, Randy, stupid games. Because I'm that type of person where if I'm sitting around and I'm bored, I got to do something. Let's, I don't know, go play basketball. Let's do something. And I've always thought if I get on Survivor, I'm like, will they vote me out? Because I'm always going to be walking around like, hey, do you guys want to go play, beach golf? I've got this coconut and I got a stick. And like just to pass the time. So that's a little side note. But Josh, what did you think about this? Did you guys play games out on the island? I mean, you got to be on 2 different tribes here with some amazing people. Did you guys ever play games to pass the time?
So not when I was on Soka. What we did is we were winning a lot, so we were just kind of getting to know each other, and we meditated a lot. So we were always on the beach meditating, just talking. Yeah, Soka was very meditational for sure. Antica, I think we were just too chaotic to do any games at all. No games were played there. It's just mind games.
Hey, look, I think we do a lot of talking. I mean, you got so much time that you got downtime. We'll put it that way. And you're just kind of like, okay, what do we do? I mean, we talk with each other. We learn about each other. We talk about our families, friends, occupations. But after you go about 15 days, you've heard them stories 12 times already because you're like, you get up in the morning. I don't know how y'all did it. We got up when the sun came up. Or you may have gotten up earlier before the sun came up. But when it got dark, we basically was going to sleep.
That's it. Because when you had no light, you were done. So you had to get firewood. And so you're always thinking about chores to do for sure. And I don't know who said it, but I think Charlie said it. The time to talk is definitely in the morning.
Oh, good shout out. Yeah.
You go and get your tribe together, act like you're going to the bathroom. One at a time, you start to go. And that's how me, Claire, and Danny did it at first. And then we kind of went with that. And then at Tika, it was me and Carolyn who got up early. And it was just, you can always see when people were getting up early who was going with who.
Why is that though? Why is the morning such the pivotal time? Put it in, from a player's perspective. Why wouldn't it be like early afternoon or middle of the day? Why is the best time to do it that kind of early morning? Is it because some people are still asleep? Not everyone's active? Like, what is the reason?
I think it's easier because it's darker and it's hot. And you kind of know where people are in the afternoon for the most part. And you're always trying to keep eyes on people. In the morning, people are like, you don't know who's up and who's not.
And you sleep, and I mean, it's hot. When they say it's hot, I mean, the grass is hot. It just gives off a heat. And in the morning time, it's cool, so you kind of will fall asleep. So in that, before sunrise, if you can figure that out, you just sleep. If you get any sleep, that'll be the most time that you get sleep. And when we did a lot of talking at night. So it's like, think about 6 people in bed together just talking. And then one person say we going to sleep, and then somebody else will say something. We had attack of the killer bird, so we didn't have a good first night.
What?
So,
we almost burned down our camp the first night. So, understood.
Well, it's a short story. So we in the bamboo, and Tiffany says, "I feel something." And Xander like, ain't nothing in here. What you worried about? What you talking about? So we was like, cause I'm like, I'm not on the end. I think Tiffany and Vulture on the end, on one end, and Liana somewhere in there, and Xander somewhere in there. And I'm like, man, we don't see nothing. Tiffany is in the middle, and then something sticks his head up. We was gone. Pew! We was out of there. It was like, what the hell is that? It wasn't until we got fire that we realized it's a nocturnal bird. I don't know if you ever saw the bird on the island. It's a nocturnal bird that only comes out at night. Whatever kind of bird it is, not the smartest bird because it walked through the fire.
I think this man was losing his mind on day 3.
No, it was. I mean, you make your own entertainment, so I don't blame Q and hide and seek. I would have played. I'd have been like, "Hey, let's do it. Sound like fun."
Well,
I would have loved your Randy games.
No one is ever gonna play hide and seek again because Q twisted this to. These 2 guys, Ben and Hunter, won the game, so now they're dangerous players. If that's the mindset of Survivor hide and seek, I'm just going to stand in camp like Sandra did all those years ago with the palm frond right over her. And that's, I'm not a dangerous player. Look, you found me first. Don't have to worry about me. The fun question that I do have, how long do we think Hunter and Ben could have gone before being found? I saw someone else tweet this. And they said, I don't think the HD camera picked up Ben. Like I saw Ben's high. I don't think I would have ever found Ben with his green shirt.
He really had Ben.
It was like green, right?
Yeah, it was like it was almost like what's the word? Like an army type green, camouflage. That's the word. It was almost like a camouflage green that he had on. That just even the camera showing them, he looks like a rock almost. And then Hunter, I I seriously, well, Hunter probably wouldn't have lasted that long because he still didn't say anything, and Q just looked up and it was like, Hunter's right here.
Nobody would
right
think
at
he
camp.
would be at camp. So I think it had to last at least an hour because the time he said to him go to the beach and count, everybody go hide and then go look at the world of editing makes it seem like it's way shorter than what it is. But I think it had to at least be an hour because you got to find the first person. So that's about 10 or 15 minutes. And then you kind of look at where, and then Venus was like, Tiffany is the worst hider ever. She should at least took her buff off. And who was next? And people were in. Look,
I thought Venus had a good hiding spot, and they found her third. Like, that it had to go on for a while because it got to the point where Q was like, okay, 1 minute or both you guys win. Like it had to get to the point where everyone was just like, okay, we're kind of done playing. Like if we don't find him in a minute, where they just both win.
They didn't even get no. I guess Tree Mail is gone because I hadn't heard Tree Mail in no episode.
Oh, they're just probably not showing it in the edit. There's definitely still Tree Mail.
Tree Mail. That was most of. Hey, look, that was one of the most fun part of being on the show. Going to get Tree Mail. I was like, man, there's a mailbox in the jungle, literally.
Oh yes, it was a whole thing for us. It was a whole production. We had to get ready and walk over and get all water bottles. We had a whole process. It was great. Highlight of the day.
Josh, while we have you here, I gotta get. I don't know if you pick winner picks, but you've seen how the season's played out. I gotta get your feeling of who you think can win this thing. And while you think about that, I'll just add in that is Liz. This is crazy, but is Liz getting a winner's edit because she's starting the play, and I am looking at her like. I think Liz has been playing this entire time, and she's just got a purple edit, which is very unfortunate. But it could be Erica all over again. No one knew about Erica, but I still think Erica played a solid game all season socially. And so I don't know, is Liz getting a winner's edit? Let us know in the comments who you guys think is going to win the season. Josh, do you do winner picks? Where's your head at?
I usually don't do winner picks. I don't know. It's just so much pressure.
Well, you were our winner picks. I don't know if you remember. 3 people at the time, 3 of the 4 people from our podcast picked you to win. You were my winner.
I remember. I know. I'm sorry.
First of all, let me tell you something. If Randy picked you to win, it was almost guaranteed you was going to lose. Randy has never picked a winner pick in all the podcasts. From 41 on, he has never picked a good winner.
Wait, who's your winner pick? Who are your twos?
Abraham, go first.
My winner pick is Dan.
No. You don't even know the name of your winner pick. You said Dan earlier.
Yeah, we were talking about something earlier, man. I said Dan. Ben is my winner.
And if you're watching, I know you're great friends with Abraham. He has called you Dan twice today.
Hey, Ben, I'll see you. Hey, look, I'll tell you like I tell everybody else, I'll see you soon. I remember that. No, I actually met Dan in L.A.
Ben, you called him Dan again.
It's just Ben, your name is Dan.
Let me tell you something. Did you have any? Look, when I got to the island, for whatever reason, Liana's name I kept messing up. I could not, for whatever reason, I just couldn't get it right. I was thinking about something else, man, but I called everything but Liana until afterwards.
No, I'm just messing with you. I'm terrible with names too. You called Kinsey earlier, Mackenzie.
Is it? Look. Oh, because I got it's written right here. I'm like, oh, it's right there. I could just read it.
But
Kinsey is from Charlotte. So next time I go to see my daughter, I'm going to her salon.
So Abraham's winner pick is Dan. My winner pick is I picked Hunter.
Hunter? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I picked Hunter. He's still in. We're fingers crossed. So Josh, even if you don't do winner pick, who do you have a good feeling about right now?
I do have a good feeling about Ben.
See,
double-edged sword, though. Ben's a nice guy. Everyone loves Ben, and that might be his downfall. But I also like Tiff.
Ooh, Tiff is like the overwhelming favorite right now. Like a lot of people think she can go far. The fun thing about this, there's so many people this season, and same thing for last season and the season. Like I will say about the cast, there's so many people who I'm like, yeah, I could see them winning. Like the only person left in the game that I do not see winning 1,000% is Venus. I would bet my mortgage that was
you campaign. You've been campaigning like y'all.
I love Venus. When I meet Venus, I am going to cry, and she is like my girl. Yes, my queen, Venus. But especially with Tevin going to the jury now. You know he's gonna tell everyone on the jury she hasn't done anything. That wasn't her move. That was my move.
That's when you get petty.
Definitely gonna spread it around.
Unfortunately, them 2 petty votes right there, and I don't think she's gonna get a vote.
Oh,
for
she's
this
not
week.
getting Soda's vote, and she's not getting Tevin's vote. I'm telling you.
No, she's not building a good jury.
There's about to be some pettiness up in there.
Yeah.
Before, let me get this up here. Before we let Josh go, we got to let you guys know exactly what is coming up for Survivor now the rest of the week. So obviously we had Josh here today. And then tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern time, join Tegwith and Kara for Survivor Social. They will break down everything that happened in today's episode from a social standpoint. Good luck, ladies. Enjoy talking about that tribal council. And then on Friday, we have Jack and Will for our power ranking show, Survivor Stockwatch. They will recap everything that went down, who they think is best in line to make a push for the end. Once again, good luck, gentlemen, because I just said I don't know who's going to win this season. And then on Saturday, it's a show that Josh was on last time he joined us. It's Got Something For You with Matthew, Ollie, and Phil. Our last recap show of the week. They will take you still by still and make sure they cover every moment, maybe something that we forgot to talk about here because we're just talking on instant reactions. And there was just so much to cover. So we've got so much content for you guys this week. Make sure to tune in. Josh, you came prepared today. Before we say our goodbyes, you have notes. And so was there anything that we missed? Was there anything that we needed to talk about that we didn't?
I don't think so. I think we hit everything. I think it was funny that Tevin called Venus a poison copperhead. That's just something that I just said,
I will say I was excited to have you on the show. And every time that Venus, like that moment where Venus was telling Tevin, or she had the confessional of, I don't think Tevin has any idea what's happening in this game. And she was like telling him how this is her move. And she thinks what's best for him is to work with her. And she walks away and he starts laughing hysterical immediately. I was immediately like, why do I feel like I could see Josh doing this?
Yeah, for sure.
I wish they hadn't vote Tevin out because I want her to,
I mean, would you be able, Josh, to keep a straight face if someone was like, this is my move, you have no idea what's going on in the game?
Yeah, my tongue would be so bloody, but yeah, I would have to. I have to be doing something like he was, like drawing or painting, just listening, because knowledge is power. Just let her think that.
Knowledge is power. That advantage is never going to escape the Survivor. Josh, thank you so much for coming back on and joining us. It means the world that you come back on for a second time. And the door is always open, my friend, if you ever want to come on and chat Survivor with us.
Thanks, Randy. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me. This has been great.
They just let me come hang out, so just I just come hang out.
Abraham, you better be careful. Josh is going to be the next person taking your job. That's what's going to end up happening.
So whoever want to come, we got to do a fire making challenge. So if your fire making game that strong, by all means, we can set it up.
Fire making for the job. We're going to have all these Survivor players in a live fire making challenge. We should definitely put that on. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, leave us a rating on Spotify, and don't forget, you can check out all of our content on SurvivorNowPodcast.com. We will catch you guys next week for episode 9 of Survivor 46. And don't forget that Jelinski lives on. That's the one thing we forgot to talk about, was the fact that Jelinski lives on still to this day.